Hello everyone, I'm Gemma. I'm Head of Philanthropy at Habitat for Humanity Great Britain. Thank you for joining us today for our World Environment Day event. I'm just about to hand over to Tim Kazinga, our National Director, to welcome you and our speakers. But before we get started, I just wanted to draw your attention to the question box on the screen and to encourage you to use that if you have any questions during the event. Thank you.
Thanks, Gemma, and thanks very much for joining us. Whether you're a long-term supporter of Habitat for Humanity or perhaps coming across us for the first time, thanks for joining our very first World Environment Day event. This is a really important topic for us to discuss. As we all know, the situation is getting critical, and the environmental challenges we face are increasingly complex. We know that housing has a massive environmental impact. In fact, millions of homes around the world are built using unsustainable materials. In fact, the United Nations Environment Programme has found that buildings and their construction account for nearly 40% of global energy-related greenhouse gas emissions. And as an organization, the millions of families that we partner with around the world are increasingly at risk from climate-related impact, whether we're talking about severe weather events such as hurricanes, floods, tornadoes, and droughts. Families and their communities are at risk. This can result in the most tragic outcomes. This can result in the loss of homes, but also have other impacts, such as exposure to food insecurity, disease, and displacement. So as an organization that believes everyone deserves a decent place to call home, we have a duty to act. We have a responsibility to use our voice to raise awareness of housing issues, but also the important role that housing must play in mitigating the impact of pollution, unsustainability, and climate change. So during the event today, you'll be hearing from a number of colleagues who'll be sharing some of the initiatives that we're involved with around the world to address these challenges. Some are related directly to plastic pollution, which of course is a theme for this year's World Environment Day. But others will look more broadly at the link between housing and the environment and how we must balance the needs of people and our responsibility to the planet, and how all of us must play a role in making this shift to a more circular, greener economy. So thanks for joining us again. I'll hand you over to Gemma, who'll be introducing our first speaker.
Thank you, Tim. I'm going to introduce now Jason Catron. Jason leads the Shelter Venture Lab for Habitat's Terwilliger Centre in the Philippines. The centre is a part of Habitat which works to expand low-income families' access to innovative housing products, service and financing. He's going to talk about a partnership with a social enterprise which advances the circular economy. Over to you, Jason.
What is the environmental challenge in the Philippines? Over the next several minutes, I will be talking about the context of the environmental challenges in the Philippines, both in the overall society and then later on as it impacts the housing segment. What you will see in front of you is a data from a statistical company wherein it shows that we belong to the top 3 countries that pollute the ocean the most. China being the biggest, followed by Indonesia, and then the Philippines. One of the factors that has led to this is the introduction of others would call a sachet economy. Sachet economy is where poor and low income population which are considered the big market would consume fast moving goods where plastics is the dominant packaging material. And then said plastics, without any proper recycling facilities at scale, would simply be dumped in the ocean. So that's one of the biggest environmental challenges we are facing. We are also facing an environmental challenge in the housing market because in the Philippines, there is a big segment of the population in the informal sector who are incrementally building their houses. There are roughly more than 3 million families doing such. Unfortunately, the technology they are using in building up or improving their homes are wasteful and inefficient. As such, there's a huge waste of materials in this segment of the market. Filipinos prefer to build by using cement as a material. And we all know that cement, the production of cement and the transition towards and the production of concrete is one of those industries that contribute to increasing greenhouse gases. So in this segment of the population, there are more cement being utilized inefficiently, thus contributing to more of this harmful material. The next slide you will see is how poor and low income families incrementally build their homes. And you will see that the design, the material, and the workmanship are suboptimal. There is a lot of inefficiency and a lot of wastages. In this population of the the country of the Philippines are mostly in the poor and low income segment of the populations. And they are the ones who consume plastic packaged materials the most. What are we doing in Habitat to contribute to solving these twin challenges? Through our work in our market systems development approach, we have partnered with businesses who have embraced the circular economy model. In the Philippines, we have found Green Ants as one of those early businesses, a startup, in introducing a circular economy model. Green Ants won our Asia Pacific Housing Forum Innovation Award in 2019 with this particular model of utilizing recycled plastic into construction material. So you will see in their model that they have found the solution in terms of reusing, recycling plastic, and then making them productive again by utilizing them to reduce the deficit in the housing sector. So what we have done in Habitat is partnered with Green Ants in terms of introducing a block which is more appropriate for low-income households when they incrementally build their homes. The product is stronger, the product is cooler, the product is faster to install, and as a bonus, it embeds recycled plastic as additives. What we have done in partnering with Green Ants is to set a model in the housing industry and in the recycling business of ensuring that this quality product is available to low income and poor consumers in the Philippines through making sure that they are accessible in retail hardwares in Central Visayas and eventually in the whole of the Philippines. Green Ants model is called Eco Hub, wherein communities pick plastics in their area and then turn them into construction materials. And they market this said materials in hardwares and other distribution points. With this type of work in partnership with us in Habitat, we have made sure that recycled materials, recycled plastics, are utilized into construction material to be used by low-income homeowners. And we have also found out that with the availability of these materials, low-income developers have also adopted this material, thereby benefiting not only those incrementally building, but also those houses being built by social developers. This year, the Philippine government has started implementing the Extended Producers Responsibility Law. And this year is the first year of its implementation, wherein fast-moving consumer goods company and other plastic producers are required to collect back their plastic. What we are doing in partnership with the academe, in partnership with the industry association, and in partnership with Green Ants, we have launched a research wherein we would like to see the business viability of utilizing plastic credits and using them as housing subsidy and construction material subsidy. Over the course of the following 6 months, we will be reaching out to fast-moving consumer goods company. We will be reaching out to government entity. We will be reaching out to developers, and we will be reaching out to retail distributors and find out if this is a viable model, and if such, is this scalable not only in the Philippines but other countries in Asia where EPR law and the housing deficits are present.
Thank you,
Yeah.
Jason. That was great. It was great to hear more about the project. I was wondering if you could just tell me a little bit more about the partnership with Green Ants and the way in which Habitat is working with them as a social enterprise.
Mm. So as Habitat in our Asia Pacific Housing Forum in 2019, we invited innovators in the field to introduce their business models, and Greenlands was one of them, and Greenlands eventually was awarded the innovation award in that year. Afterwards, Green Ants partnered with us in Habitat to make sure that their products are available in a new market for them, which are the incremental, low-income incremental builders in the country, roughly about more than 3 million households. So this was born out of the research we have conducted in Habitat, wherein we wanted to spotlight the other housing actors in the market, specifically those doing incremental builds. So we worked with them in basically expanding their business model to be more inclusive. So from there on, Gemma, we said you have products which are for now, back then, targeted towards big construction projects, big buildings. Can you redesign this to be more appropriate to houses that are being built by low-income clients? And that's why they introduced this non-load-bearing Eco Block. We also assisted them, Gemma, in terms of making sure that these are marketed appropriately by targeting a new market for them and then making this available in several hardwares.
Thank you, Jason. And you've talked quite a bit about incremental building and why it's important. Could you just share a bit more about what that looks like in the Philippines, and are there particular or like groups that this is the model of housing that is used?
Yes, in quite a number of countries in Asia, and we do know not only in Asia but across the world, you would have a population of poor and low income people who do not have access to formal financing and cannot qualify for loans and mortgages. So the way they have better shelter is they do it over the years, incrementally. Actually, over decades, Gemma, from a short relatively of 15 years to as long as 3 decades. What they do is build according to their means, small income, irregular income, or remittances. So, as such, when they have enough money, they would upgrade their wall, they would upgrade their roof from light material to much sturdier material, to more aesthetically pleasing, more comfortable. So that is how they build in the Philippines. That's about half of the housing market deficits are really in that segment of the market. They are what we call those with qualitative deficit, wherein their homes are not decent enough to be lived in.
Thank you, Jason. We're going to move now to our next speaker, John Akadago. Thank you, John.
Good morning. My name is John Akudago. I work for Habitat for Humanity International as the director for international shelter initiatives based in the US. Today, I'm going to talk a little bit about the challenges of waste and how Habitat is addressing that. With increasing population growth, there's really a huge challenge of how much waste is generated in the world today. For example, the World Bank reported in 2020 that over 2 billion tons of waste was generated. And they estimated that by 2050, this number would increase by 73% to over close to 4 billion tons of waste. If you look at this waste generated, a huge portion of it also comes from the plastics. Plastics are waste that will not biodegrade. They take a long time to disappear. And so if they are generated, at the end of the day, they may have to move somewhere if they are staying there for long. And it is estimated that about 400 million tons of plastic waste is generated annually, and about 11 million of this plastic waste ends up in the sea. And so all that gets to the sea is going to contribute to huge challenges to marine life, and also the remaining ones on the land would contribute to soil fertility issues, therefore impacting food security. In order to address some of these challenges, Habitat is contributed in a way that could help address some of the challenges at the community level. For example, we've had some successes in trying to see how we can manage plastic waste within the context of slums. In Liberia, Peace Island, in Morovia, we dealt with plastic waste from a 30,000 slum, where we worked with the slum community to collect their waste and support local business groups to transform this waste into plastic blocks, into construction materials such as ceilings and any other material that they could transform and contribute to the building industry. Through this, we're able to generate livelihood out of this waste generation. And we also contributed to reducing the plastic waste in the environment. And so if we all in a way could contribute to this by transforming waste to construction materials, we might be able to reduce the amount of waste. But even if we reduced and we do not have a way to control how much new waste is coming to the environment, we would have challenges. And so we also work with the government to see whether they can formulate some new policies around how they can either reduce waste generation or recycle it or reuse it. And so all these would have to come together. Managing plastic waste in the environment would require a lot of policy shifts. It will also require behavior change, and it will require some investments, whether from donors or even the local community, and also innovation, transforming the waste to something that would be more economically viable and productive for the society. Thank you so much, and I wish everyone a happy World Environment Day celebration.
Thank you, John. Thank you for sharing that. It's really overwhelming, really, to hear some of those statistics about the amount of plastic waste and the contribution that that's making. I just wondered if I could ask a quick question about the project in Liberia, and you talked about how the plastic recycling project contributed to livelihoods. I just wondered if you could share a little bit more about what that looks like in practice.
So in Liberia, I mean, everybody, just like everywhere in the developing country, people use plastics for various purposes. They use it in holding their things that they buy from the market all the way to home. And sometimes they just one use, they throw it away. All this waste moves all the way to the lagoons, to the sea, and ends up in rivers, freshwater bodies, and also in the soil. So before our projects at the community level, you could find a huge pile of waste in the community, especially the market sites where the women and men exchange goods and services. We also realized that there was no collection system from the municipality. And so we needed to work with the municipality to get the waste collected. If even they managed it well at the community level, without collection, the waste would get back to the environment. And so these were all the practices we had to put in to help people change or shift their behaviors. We needed to bring them together for us to clean the environment, make sure that we clean their community and put the waste at a specific location for the city to come in and haul it away. We also worked with the city government to make sure that there was constant waste collection at the community so that a heap of waste will not be left unattended to for a very long time. Many projects sometimes do not sustainably move forward because after we have left or after the project is completed, there's no money or there's no sustainability structures in place. And so we did this by making sure we empowered the community to be the driving force, to be the main decision makers, and they would liaise up with the city office if there was any problem or any delays to understand why and how they can manage and educate the people at the community. The community leaders also assisted us in ensuring that there is a lot of education among the community members to ensure that people do not continue with their old practice of throwing the waste anywhere, but rather put the waste at bins that were provided very close to the market areas or even at the locations. Now, this is a slum community, and so access to many homes were also not available. So we also supported the community to generate small business groups that could move from house to house to pick the waste to the central location. And so we call that the primary waste collection, where the private business groups would go from house to house to pick the waste and bring it to the central location and then put it there waiting for the city to come in and collect it, which we also term the secondary waste collection. And then the city now transports it to a location where they can dispose it off.
Thank you. So it sounds like it was really important to have the partnership between the government services and the community in order to make the project sustainable.
Yes, that is very true. Partnership played a key role. Just as I mentioned, we cannot control waste or manage waste very well without partnership with the community. there has to be a behavior change. There have to be a shift in the way people understand and do things. And so that was key. And we had to have community commitment through the leadership. So that was also very key for us. We cannot actually enter the community without the government support. So we had the local government come in there, and then the central government as well. Even when we started converting the waste into construction materials, those materials have to be tested to make sure that they meet the standards that the government of Liberia has put in. Even though this is still in the pilot phase and we don't know the details of what would happen after use of these blocks, structurally they meet the standards of quality materials in the country. We also had to partner with donors because we cannot enter the community without funds. And as a nonprofit, we would definitely rely on donations or generous givings from individuals or foundations or bilateral agencies to do that. So we also partnered with a lot of donors on the ground to execute the project.
Thank you, John. Happy now to introduce our final guest, Mardi Mapasuplido. Mardi is CEO of Habitat for Humanity Philippines, and will be talking to us more about a project in partnership with the Hilti Foundation, which aims to address the housing gap in the Philippines in an environmentally sustainable way. Thank you, Mardi.
Okay, thank you, Gemma, and good afternoon to everyone. In a country that's faced with an ever-growing housing backlog, which today stands at 6.5 million, half of whom are informal settler families, this lack of affordable housing is at the top of our list of inequity battlefronts in the country. This housing issue is even made worse by the frequent disasters we are hit with. Now, the Philippines experiences frequent earthquakes and is hit by about 20 tropical cyclones a year, putting us at the top of the list of the World Risk Report for 2022. And just recently, there were over 2 million homes that were damaged by this super typhoon Rai alone. And so as part of a Christian global housing organization, Habitat for Humanity Philippines has been working to address many of these housing issues in partnership with national and local governments. We marked our 35th year in the country last week and have so far built and repaired homes for over 150,000 Filipino families. We've also improved homeowner access to basic social services and built resilience and empowerment. We've partnered with over 800,000 Filipino families to improve their housing through financial services. And I think very important also is the fact that we've mobilized over 5 million volunteers from here and abroad not to help us build the homes. One of our priority habitat projects that aims to create an impact on homelessness and informal settlements is one we call the Negros Occidental Impact 2025 or NOI 25. Now, this project provides quality and disaster resilient homes using a technology which we call cement bamboo frame technology to build and scale thousands of housing units in sustainable communities that are clean, green, safe, and disaster resilient. And its success is anchored on public, private, and people partnerships that serve as a model in addressing the housing gap. This housing project aims to create a housing ecosystem that enables low-income families to access land and safe shelter made of disaster-resilient bamboo technology and be able to live in cohesive communities. And we do this in 4 ways. First, we partner with local governments to be able to identify and develop sufficient land and suitable land. Then we work to unlock government and private sector funding to sustainably finance and address the housing gap. Third, we continually find ways to improve and promote the use of cement bamboo frame technology in the housing marketplace. And then fourth, because we want to support the families in a holistic way, We provide community development and empower homeowners associations through capacity building activities. This CBF technology, I just explained a bit now. The CBF technology is provided by our partners, the Hilti and Base Buy Foundation. This technology is resilient against various disasters that we're often hit with, such as typhoons, earthquakes, fires, and insects. So using this specially treated local bamboo that is sustainably harvested together with local farming communities in the province, the CBF creates an entire value chain from growing the local bamboo industry to passing on skills to local communities, and then finally providing a safe, permanent house to those who are in need. The use of CBF for house construction has been, of course, accredited by, we call it ITEC. Now, this is the country's government accreditation body for innovative housing technologies, and we're able to use that in our housing project. And this environmentally friendly house construction design is able to provide sustainable harvesting and income also to bamboo growers. Now, for those familiar, bamboo has a strong root network that enables soil stabilization and water tables rise. Now, unlike trees, bamboo grows easily, faster, and it's easily to propagate. And it only requires 3.5 years or more, a little more, to 5 years for it to be mature, for us to have structural grade bamboo. Plus, the CBF technology has 80% less carbon footprint. Now, that's a lot. Now, 80% less carbon footprint compared to conventional house design. And last, for the families, it naturally provides a more comfortable indoor climate, resulting in less energy use. Yeah, so here in this slide, we're showing you the different parts of a CBF home. You will see where we use GI sheets for the roof, not to allow air circulation, for thermal comfort, and then prevent, of course, water from entering the house. For the roof framing, that's the bamboo number 4, we use treated bamboo reinforced by bolts and nuts. And these are reinforced, engineered depending on the wind zone of the area where we build a home. Third is the bamboo frame. Now, that's the frame and the sheet walls. They are prefabricated with connections between the bamboo poles to withstand the impact of earthquakes and typhoons. Now, then fourth is the use of a steel wire mesh. Now, this is put around the bamboo poles, and it has a finishing using cement to be able to reinforce the bamboo and protect the structure from exposure to long-term harmful natural elements. And then the last is using concrete flooring made with solid concrete designed to elevate the house and prevent the flood water from seeping in. Okay. Here in the next slide, I'll just show you a few more photos of how bamboo is used during the house construction process. We have the wall panel using bamboo, and this is assembled in a fabrication area and then installed after the house foundation is built. And then we have the panels that are wrapped by a wire mesh and cement cladding is applied. And then finally, you can see the roofing structure, which is also made from bamboo and then covered by roofing sheets. So since we've started the NOI 25 project, so far we've been able to build 382 houses, with 42 being built now. And we've been able to open more sites where we hope to build another 1,200 more houses this year and next year. And more importantly, I think it's the feedback that we've received from the families who've said, those who have experienced disasters the past 2 years said their houses were not damaged. 86% said they were happily satisfied with their homes, as most of these met their housing needs. And 76% said their home provided better access to water and electricity and were happy with the house design and the layout. And you'll see here the next 3 slides. You have one of the communities in Silay City where we've been able to build 346 houses. Okay. And the next slide is in San Carlos, and this photo was just taken 2 weeks ago, where we were able to turn over another 60 houses to the happy homeowners that you see on the photo. Okay. And then this third slide is, this was also last week where we have started with a groundbreaking of houses in La Carlota, where we hope to build more houses there. So in the next 2 years, this project envisions to support another 1,200 families to be resettled in our NOI 25 communities and have a home that they can call their own. And although majority of the funding that is required will come from this developers compliance of real estate companies in the Philippines, we still need around 1,467 British pounds per house for us to complete house construction and support the community development activities in our project. With the 1,200 housing units we target to build, we're still in need to raise a bit over 1.5 million pounds. So we hope for your support to be able to help us enable informal settler families to live in dignified and resilient homes with access to basic social services and a secured tenure. With a contribution of 1,467 British pounds, you will be able to help one family have a disaster resilient, environmentally friendly cement bamboo frame home. So thank you very much, Gemma.
Thank you, Margie. It's wonderful to hear so much about the project. We're going to be sharing some information in a moment about how you can support this project, but I just wondered if I could ask you a quick question about the project. It's really interesting to see how constructing new homes, which is so needed, but can also have a significant environmental impact, this is kind of mitigating that and also actually contributing positively. How does the project involve local bamboo farmers and integrate them into the project so they're able to benefit from it?
What's interesting about the province where we have the NOI 25 project, it was in the past, what we call it, it's a feudal, similar to UK, right? It's all sugarcane in this island. And because of the sugarcane industry isn't flourishing as well, you have so many of the families who are hungry. So we've been able to work with farmer families the past 5 years, and we've turned many of them into bamboo farming communities. And it's their bamboo, of course, harvested by the local farmers that we are tapping. And it's the bamboo from those farms that are being treated by the Hilti Foundation and used in the housing for the NOI 25 community project.
That's fantastic. So it's addressing other needs within the community as well as the housing, the livelihoods, and income issue. That's fantastic. And how have you found it? You talked about the partnerships with the private sector and housing businesses. How have you found developing those relationships and engaging them with this sort of environmentally friendly building?
There's no way that we can build affordable housing for the families if not for the partnerships that we have. And these are not just our partnerships, we call it P4. So it's with the people, with the private and the public, and the last four is the partnership. So we have these partnerships with this project, and it's only through that. So it's the local government, for example, that provides for the land and the site development. And then the cost of the house, a part of the house goes through government funded by the private developers. So there's that public and private partnerships, but we still have a gap in the housing that we hope as Habitat for Humanity Philippines together with Habitat UK to be able to raise that funding gap. So it's really bringing in everyone. And of course, you have the families who are providing their sweat equity in building of the houses. Their counterpart is 400 hours of sweat equity. So it's really a partnership that we see in this project.
Thank you, Mardi. As I said, we'll be sharing information about how you can support this project in just a moment. I'm just going to hand over now to our National Director, Tim, just to say a few words. Thank you.
Thanks for joining us this afternoon, and I hope you've been inspired by this conversation. If you'd like to take action, please do consider supporting our project building disaster resilient homes using cement bamboo technology. You'll see a QR code on the next screen that you can scan to easily make a donation to support this project. But can I also ask you, please help raise awareness of our work by sharing our World Environment Day blog on your own social media platforms. That'll be a massive help to us as well. Gemma will be in touch after this event, and she'll be sharing an email with more information about how you can get involved with our work. So please do reach out to her if you have any questions, or if you'd just like to learn more about Habitat's work in this area around the world. Thanks a lot, and have a great day.